we take it for granted every day because you walk through the grocery store and it kind of just becomes like this mechanical thing where we expect food to be placed in front of us. It's easy to forget that there's really hardworking families that are producing this for everyone.
Flew out there and I won, and it was the craziest experience of my life.
He started a business called Fork Farms, and you can buy these towers like across the world. They're everywhere now, and it's super cool to see like what you can grow. Like you could literally grow anything. All right, welcome to the Indulge Podcast. I'm Marlon Gordon.
And I'm Melissa Santel, and today we are very excited to welcome Chef Shelby Farrell, who is the chef de cuisine at Oystercatchers.
Welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks so much.
So give us a little bit of backstory of how you got into the culinary space.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've been doing it pretty much my whole life. My uncle owns a steak and seafood restaurant just outside Biloxi, Mississippi. That's where my family's from, kind of where my roots are. And I was working with him when I was a teenager and been working in restaurants ever since. It's literally all I've ever done.
That's cool. I had no idea that Mississippi had such an amazing food scene.
Yeah, and like Gulf Coastal Mississippi is a completely different world from the rest of the state. You know, once you get south of I-10, it's a different place altogether.
Yeah. So were you Gulf Coast or were you?
Yeah, Gulf Coast. Yeah, okay. Right on the water.
I was up near Ole Miss area.
Okay.
That's where I was.
Yeah. Different food culture for sure. Lots of barbecue there. Like, yeah, but it's so good.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So how long were you there before you moved to Florida, or did you go someplace else before you came to Florida?
So I was a military kid, so I moved around a lot. Like that was just always home base. Gotcha. But I've been in Florida the majority of my life. Grew up in like the Gulf Coast area, all, Florida Gulf Coast, and that's definitely like where I got my roots in cooking. And then I've been in Orlando, the last decade and a half up until now.
Yeah. Do you like Orlando?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It gets a bad rap. I people associate it with just the tourist area, but I love the city. It's definitely, once you get into the real Orlando, it's like a bunch of small towns making up a city, and there's such a cool community environment. Like I was living around the Milk District and like Mill Sifty, and those are best places for like locally owned restaurants, unique locally owned businesses, bars, restaurants, coffee shops, all of the above.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Every time I've spent time in Orlando recently, I feel like there's just bottomless exploration. And it is, to your point, when you're in a different neighborhood, it's such a different feeling. Yeah. There's different restaurants, different shopping. I don't know, it's great.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot different than I think a lot of people expect it to be.
Certainly.
People think Disney, Universal, that sort of thing.
Yeah, they think iDrive is downtown Orlando. No, it's like 20 more minutes up I-4.
Not even close. Speaking of I-4, man, the traffic in Orlando is miserable.
It's not great.
Out there?
No.
Brutal.
It is. I commute pretty regularly. I'm staying in Tampa half the week, in Orlando half the week. And it is either like a 45-minute drive or a 2-hour drive, and it's a total toss-up.
Man, you must really love your job to be commuting back and forth.
I do. I do. I love what I do.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's important. That's what we need.
Yeah.
So you were most recently in Orlando, and tell us a little bit about what you were up to there, where you were cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what led you to Tampa, too.
Well, I've been with Hyatt Hotels for 13 years now, the majority of my professional career. And I was working at the Grand Cypress Resort for a number of years there, and I opened up a restaurant called Four Flamingos. It's a celebrity chef partnered restaurant. We were partnered with Richard Blais, so Food Network fame, Fox, does the whole Gordon Ramsay show, and we partnered up with him to revamp and revitalize an existing space. It had been a restaurant called Hemingway's for 25, almost 30 years, I believe. And we came in to flip that space, flip that concept, and turn it into something new. And so, 3 years doing Four Flamingos there with him. Michelin rated for 3 years. It was a great place.
That's
It's a
fantastic.
great place.
I spent a lot of time stalking for flamingos on Instagram, and I was looking at the food. It's stunning. I mean, the plating was so impressive. I felt like, you know, I instantly added it to my like we're eating here next time I'm in Orlando list.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that it was great. And what was it like working alongside Richard Blaze?
Honestly, the easiest partnership, you know, and it really was a partnership. I don't think it was maybe the most typical relationship that most chefs have with their celebrity chef, you know, restaurateurs. Richard was very collaborative, and we were constantly like working together to create and evolve the menu. And he gave us a lot of creative license as well, while still being really involved, you know, there every few months. And it was great. It was like the perfect happy medium of having his input, but also being allowed to be creative and have creative say in what was going on in the space.
So when you're in a partnership like that, sorry, Marlon, you were like,
fine, go ahead.
I could tell
I gave
in
you the
your
eye.
head, you were
I wanna
like,
say
I'm
something.
trying to ask a question. Lo siento, my friend. I was just going to ask.
So I'll go. So if there was one thing you learned working with him, what would that be?
Oh gosh. I mean, I definitely learned a lot of technical skills. You know, Richard has a really strong background in molecular gastronomy.
In what?
Molecular gastronomy. So it's
I'm
like
learning all sorts of words today.
the science of food.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you see places that are doing, you know, like flavored foams and popping bubbles and, you know, all of these things that take food to a whole nother level, right? Like take an ingredient and turn it into something new.
Magic.
Into magic. You know, you're literally using, you know, all sorts of different chemical compounds and powders and all these things to like make food into something new. Richard has a really strong background in that. It's not really what he does on the day-to-day, but he has a really strong background and loves to bring that into his food in really like fun, playful ways. You know, like we did, one of the things that the restaurant's known for is oysters and pearls, and it's just raw oysters with a mignonette, like vinegar sauce, and then liquid nitrogen pearls. So I like to call them our spicy Dippin' Dots. We would take like a pepper, it changed all the time seasonally, but like usually like a hot pepper with a sweet element, make a liquid and drip it into liquid nitrogen. And that would be the topping of the oysters. And
That is cool.
yeah, we made mango egg yolks that went on top of a tuna tartare. Looks exactly like an egg yolk.
Yeah.
Pops exactly like an egg yolk, but it's 100% mango juice.
How is that possible?
I
class this I can
didn't
take?
know before then, you know. So definitely, I mean, like that was such a wealth of knowledge to learn and like learn all of those, you know, little techniques that you don't really just run into on the day-to-day working in culinary usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you still practice your food magic?
I have a shelf in our dry storage at the restaurant that is labeled chef's powders, and it's literally just various containers of like sodium alginate and calcium powder and xanthan gum and all these different things. And so yeah, it's not something we feature heavily on the menu at all, but you know, if you come into any of our special events, I love to work it in. You know, on Valentine's Day, we had buttermilk pearls that were a garnish on a bone marrow dish. And so
Sounds delicious.
Yes.
I'm so hungry right now.
I know. Can we go to Oystercatchers, guys? I
Yes,
have the
please.
menu out
I
in
would-
front
I
of
would-
me
I would
right now.
love to. I'm not done yet, Melissa. I'm sorry. I got one more question. I'm hogging the mic today.
Marlon.
Well, this is for us.
I know. Okay.
Would you ever be willing to like show us how to do some of that stuff? Because that could be fun learning
Yeah,
how
definitely.
to. What did you call that word? Or like what was it word? again?
Molecular
Molecular
gastronomy.
gastronomy.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to be a molecular gastrologist.
Gastronomist?
Gastronomist.
That sounds right.
You know what? I back
Yeah.
it. I back it. One of my Christmas gifts last year was actually one of the powders that you shake it with a liquid and then it turns it into item that is then powdered. Like I mixed it in with like butter, and then the butter became a butter powder,
Yeah.
and I sprinkled it on top of ancillary things,
Yep.
and it's like It is so cool. And it's actually used more often than you think, like in that application. Like for me, you know, if you're buying like seasoned popcorn butter and it's granulated, then like that's basically what they're using, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm totally drawing a blank on the name of that compound, but I've used it too.
But
yeah, it's a lot of these, like, they're all things that you've probably had before, but it's in like, you know, commercial food processing. And but they have application in, you know, in the culinary arts. You just have to know what to do with them.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like you have a lot of fun experience in creating food that looks like something else, but then you eat it and you're like, wow, okay, this is a total ultimate surprise.
Yeah.
Which is, in my opinion, one of the best parts about the culinary space. 'Cause
Yeah.
you are a magician.
I always say, like, I like my food to be approachable, like to look approachable, to taste approachable, but then to be completely unique in some element, right? Like, keep it creative, keep it engaging, but like without being pretentious or without being, you know, I don't want to gatekeep good food, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys ever play jokes on people, like amongst your friends or I guess whoever, where like you say take the mango egg yolk and it looks like a fried egg or something, but it's not, it's mango. So they like when you give it to them, they think it's going to be an egg, and then you blow their mind when it's something else.
You know, can't think of any particular experience of doing that, but it's probably like a missed opportunity.
I would love to do that to somebody.
At your next dinner party, we're coming and we're going to play a prank on someone.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, Melissa, now you can ask whatever you wanted to ask.
Well, now my question is stuffed down in like my big toe. I mean, you were like, bye, Melissa.
You like to have fun in the podcast, sorry.
But no. So today you are at Oyster Catchers and you just started working there last November, right?
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your transition from Orlando to Oyster Catchers and what you've been up to there.
I had been wanting to kind of get out of the Orlando sphere for a while. I was working there for over 15 years. You know, it's a great city, and it had so much growth and so much, you know, progression within the food scene in the time that I was there. But I just felt like it was my time to, you know, go somewhere else and start something new. And I saw that Oystercatchers was looking for a new chef, and kind of got the inside knowledge that they were looking to revitalize the restaurant and bring it back to its like original concept, right? You know, it was always meant to be a Gulf coastal, Florida source seafood restaurant focused on Tampa Bay. You know, you've got this amazing view, these bay windows that stretch across the entire restaurant, looking out on this gorgeous water. And for a while there, the restaurant had gotten away from that core concept. And so when I heard that they were trying to go back to that and like bring back that original concept, it was perfect for me. Like, that is my bread and butter. Like, Gulf coastal cuisine is what I love to do. So, you know, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So what was it like recreating that menu?
You know, it was sorry. It was a lot of fun. I don't know if we so much recreated it. You know, I never at any point in time referenced the original menu or anything like that. It wasn't so much about recreation as it was about, you know, just bringing it back to the core concept, right? And we definitely didn't want to get stuck in the past either. You know, you're taking this legacy restaurant. I mean, they've been there since 1986. You know, it's a institution, you know, in Tampa. So it could be really easy to kind of go too far back, you know, and rest on the laurels and try to make it exactly what it once was. And that wasn't the hope, right? It was to make it into a modern restaurant, like make it into a restaurant that competes with what is now a very, you know, developed food scene in Tampa. Like the food scene in Tampa was not what it is now.
No. She grows all the time.
Yeah, 10 years ago, let alone, you know, 30 years ago, right? And so we definitely, you know, I had kind of carte blanche to bring it back to what I thought was right with the concept. And So it was a lot of fun.
And when you were going through that process, so, you mentioned like you grew up also loving seafood, cooking seafood. Is there anything that you put on the menu that is like reminiscent of you or your childhood?
That's a good question. I
I have it here if you'd like to look at
I know,
it.
I had to think about it. I don't know. So, okay.
I know, I'm sorry, I put you on the spot.
No, you're fine. That one just escaped me for a second there. All right, so there is definitely a few different things on the menu. Like we have this coconut cream pie. It is probably our most loved dessert, and it is like classic Southern coconut cream pie. It's a buttermilk crust, making a buttermilk biscuit dough basically, and then it has just a really good coconut custard, dulce de leche, and then we top it with what is effectively house-made Cool Whip, because there's just something very nostalgic about whipped topping. In a restaurant, you always want to do whipped cream, right? It's fresh whipped cream. You never do the fake stuff, but there's something so nostalgic about that flavor and about that texture, and with intent, it can be really fun. And so that 100% is like a dessert of my childhood. It's something me and my brother make for my mom every birthday. And so
Sounds delicious.
We had to put it on the menu.
Especially with that dulce de leche and I'm just like thinking about how buttery and flaky and how many layers that crust has. Like, we gotta go.
I really think we need to start asking our guests to come on the podcast and start bringing like something from their restaurant, because that would be delicious. It sounds delicious. We could have said it right here. And then we could just
I know.
partake.
But don't you remember the time where we ate pizza on camera and I was like, I'm a troll right now, just downing pizza, like eating chicken penny vodka pizza on
It was
camera.
funny. She had to like hold the conversation because I was too busy in the corner eating pizza.
It was Santoro's pizza. It was really good.
Yeah.
Eating on camera is very awkward.
It
So
is.
yeah.
But I wouldn't mind staring at one of your desserts sitting right there, and then we could eat afterwards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cut away, come back.
Yeah, right?
It's true. Okay, so for anyone who may not know this, and myself included, but we talked a little bit about you making like a faux restaurant Cool Whip versus a whipped cream. So how did you stabilize it for it to become that and not a whipped cream?
Okay, so there's again a lot of different things in
Use
like
magic,
the culinary world. So we have this thing called Alaska. It's
Is it baked?
it is what that it originates from. It's for making like commercial baked Alaska topping. And it is just like a meringue / whip stabilizer.
Okay.
And so it's magical, and you're able to, like I said, like recreate this, coconut milky like whipped cream topping that is very reminiscent of Cool Whip without being Cool Whip.
I don't know how you guys do what you do. It's crazy.
Cool Whip's also so good. It's such a sleeper ingredient.
Right.
Do they still sell Cool Whip?
Absolutely.
They do?
Oh yeah, it's in the freezer aisle.
Okay, well, no wonder why no one's seen it. Who knew that it was in the freezer aisle? Back in the day, it was not frozen, right? I mean,
I don't know. I feel like back in the day, I only experienced Cool Whip like on the counter at my grandmother's house, like dipping strawberries straight into it. I don't know if I ever perceived it in a grocery store.
yeah, I'm trying to think back, but for me, it was like my great grandmother. She used to make ambrosia salad, with the Jello and
yeah.
like the cherries and the pineapple chunks, and then she would top it with Cool Whip, and it was
Delicious. So you are not a stranger to the camera, I hear.
No.
You've been on TV here and there.
Done a couple
right?
things.
Couple things.
Yeah.
No big deal. You get that off your shoulder for you. So what have you done?
All right. So a few different Food Network things, namely Guys Grocery Games was kind of like my favorite one for sure. Actually, how I first met Richard. Not how I ended up working with Richard. That was just through the nature of Hyatt. But first time we met, so that whole thing ended up being a really funny, like full circle life moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've done a couple different shows with Food Network, and then probably my all-time favorite was a PBS show called Movable Feast.
Oh, what was that about?
It's really cool. So the whole concept is they go to a different city on every episode, and they partner up with 2 local chefs, and they source a bunch of local ingredients, go to the sourcing, go to different farms, different fisheries, things like that. collect ingredients, and then do a big feast, a big cookout for like the friends, family of the chefs. And so we did ours at the Zellwood. Are you guys familiar with Zellwood sweet corn?
No.
Okay,
Tell us about it.
It's a heirloom variety of sweet corn. Zellwood, Florida is just south of Mount Dora, and it used to be known for growing this corn. There was like a bunch of family-owned farms that grew it, and it is just the sweetest, juiciest, like most incredible corn. Like you can eat it raw, and it is just insanely good.
Wow.
And then most of the farms got bought out, and there's one farm left. And yeah, it's the same original family that's owned it forever, and they produce the best corn I've ever eaten in my life. And so we went out there and, got to pick corn straight off the stalk and then go cook it.
That's so fun.
Yeah. We hosted the cookout in the middle of a corn maze.
That is cool.
It was a blast.
That is cool.
Yeah.
And that was on PBS, you said?
Yeah.
When did that air?
Oh gosh, probably about 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
So it was myself and Trina Probst. She's the chef of Seven Bites in Orlando. Pretty popular bake shop. They're like a southern breakfast spot / bakehouse, and she's a force in her own right. And it was a really awesome experience getting to be like two female chefs who have come up together within the Orlando community, going and doing the show to represent the Orlando culinary scene,
Yeah,
It was quite the honor.
What did you guys end up making?
So Trina did, let me remember, Trina did a selection of deviled eggs. Deviled eggs are a huge thing for her. And it's like very much part of her background and her childhood. And so we got to go to a chicken farm in Orlando that pretty much every restaurant in Orlando that sells local eggs sources them from Lake Meadows. And so she did that, and oh my gosh, it's been years now, so I'm trying to remember a selection of baked goods and things that really represented what she does. And then for my selection, I did just poached shrimp. We got really phenomenal poached shrimp from Cape Canaveral. The Cape Canaveral shrimping industry is pretty incredible, and most Florida shrimp you get, if it's from that coast, it's from Canaveral. And so we did just really good poached shrimp with like fresh made guava cocktail sauce. And then I made a jardinera that was like pickled veggies, all using produce that was grown at the farm. So, yeah.
Sounds good.
That's so cool. And were the farmers there to be able to taste what you guys made?
Yeah. The dad of the family was, he toured the farm with us and was on camera begrudgingly. I think he was the nicest man, but did not want to be on camera. And so he toured us with did the farm tour, and then his daughter took over. She was like, "Look, you can go hang out in the farm, Dad. I got it from
She's
here."
like, "You did your duty."
Yeah, you did your stuff, man.
Yeah, that's fun. I feel like farmers never really get the opportunity to try chefs' food that they're making using their produce. So that's awesome.
Yeah, the entire family was part of the cookout. They all got invited to be part of it.
I was going to say that it's got to feel special, being a farmer and knowing that you're feeding the nation.
Yeah.
But on top of that, seeing an artist like you come in and make something truly spectacular out of what they've grown, that's got to feel pretty cool being a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hope that they were really proud of how their farmers represented. They're very proud people, being kind of the last bastion of this incredible industry that used to be what this whole town was known for. They're the last remaining one, and they should be proud of what they're doing. And it was so awesome to be able to focus on them and give them this really, really well-deserved spotlight.
Yeah, I love taking farm tours. Have you gone on one before?
I have. I actually used to have a client that only worked exclusively with local farms. And so we toured a farm that they were working with, and I got to take some photos there and meet the farmers. And it's so cool when you're walking down a row of radishes and they're like, get down on your knees, pluck one out of the ground. And you're like, really? This is a special moment that you get to be part of, food actually being grown in the ground that you get to take out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we take it for granted every day because you walk through the grocery store and it kind of just becomes like this mechanical thing where we expect food to be placed in front of us. It's
sure.
easy to forget that there's really hardworking families that are producing this for everyone. And yeah, it's a cool, like, you really get like down to earth experience when you go visit a farm like that.
Yeah, I went to a tomato farm and I had this cherry tomato, and it was the most delicious tomato I'd eaten in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like, it literally tasted like a cherry, and I couldn't stop eating it. Like, I just kept on picking and picking and picking. But I'm going to a dairy farm next week, which will be my first time up in Indiana with shout out Indiana Dairy Association. They're taking me on a tour, so that should be fun. But yeah, I love going on farm tours.
Are you going to milk a cow?
I'm
Are you
sure-
going to ask?
I'm sure someone's going to make me try and milk a cow.
You should
Please-
absolutely
Yeah, I
milk the
should.
cow. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like you'd
Please
really be missing out on like the full
Yeah.
experience.
Right. Can you do me? I heard that you have these really special glasses
these?
that you could hey, that you could wear, and get like a first person perspective of
my God,
milking a cow.
perfect.
You must do that
No,
for
that-
me.
That's actually a great idea. I will do that.
Yeah.
I will do that. So don't be surprised if you see a video on social media and I tag both of you as me milking a cow with my glasses on.
Please,
I look
fully
forward
welcome.
to the day where you hit publish. Thank you.
I'm gonna do it too. So Chef, tell me about your experience with the Guy's Grocery. How was that?
oh my gosh, it was such a fun experience. Honestly, so the whole thing was crazy, right? I got a DM on Instagram that was like, "Hi, I'm a casting director for the Food Network," and I was like, "This is 1,000% spam. I am not responding to this." And then they messaged me again, and I was like, "All right, still spam. I'm not responding to this." And then
They should
I
be
get
like, this is not spam.
Yeah.
I'm real.
I get a call from a friend of mine. She's in a punk band in Orlando, and she gives me a call one day, and she's like, "Hey, this is weird, but there's this guy. He was in a punk band in Tampa. He's now a casting agent for the Food Network, and he hit us up because apparently he found your account, and he's been trying to DM you, and saw that we're mutual friends."
Yeah, he
And
wanted you
you
bad.
need to call this man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I swear to you. And so I called him, and like 2 weeks later, I flew out. And so, yeah, the whole thing with those shows is that they take applicants, but there's like a very specific demographic that typically applies, and it's not me.
Yeah.
So, and good on Food Network, they want to have like a diverse cast, and they want to make sure it's like representative of the actual industry. And so they use a mix of people that apply and then casting agents. And so, yeah, I flew out there and I won, and it was the craziest experience of my life. Like, I had never even watched an episode of Guys Grocery Games before the initial phone call. They called me, and like on the call, they're like, "Oh, have you watched the show?" And I was like, "No, but I promise I will before you call me back." And then I just binge watched like as much of it as I could find.
That is awesome. Well, congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
congratulations. It's so cool. We actually had another guest on who also competed on Guys Grocery Games, and we were like, "Tell us what you learned. Tell us about one thing that shocked you." And she said that the grocery store is actually much larger than you would anticipate it being.
Yes.
Was there anything that you walked away, like if you went back, like you would know that you would do XYZ differently?
Oh gosh, I'm sure there's a lot of things that I would do differently, but yeah, it is a full-blown grocery store. It is, I mean, it's a set, but it is a full-blown grocery store. They're not playing around. Like, when you're running around, you are running around. And so I don't know. I had like a bunch of funny like off-camera mishaps. Like, funny in hindsight, not funny in the moment. Where like I tripped and fell.
Oh, no.
I got cut on a piece of plastic packaging, like reaching into like a shelf, and they had to like do the whole stop cooking,
Yeah.
let us bandage you thing, where they do not stop the timer.
No.
So I mean, I would hope that none of those things happened again.
And you
but
still won after all that.
Yeah, it was a shocking. I can't explain how shocked I was in that moment. I was like, everything went wrong. How did this happen?
That's cool. That's
Okay,
cool.
well now we're walking away with two things we need to watch: the show on PBS and then your episode of Guys Grocery Games.
Absolutely.
And anything else that you were in on TV as well?
I've done a few other things. I have one thing that's not out yet, so it's kind of
Can you tease it, or is it?
It's like still. They like to do the NDA thing, you know. So
we tried.
I know. So yeah. Other than that, just a bunch of local publications in the Orlando area. So a bunch of different food bloggers, and I don't know if you Google me or whatever, look me up on YouTube. There's a bunch of different random videos of me like cooking swordfish and stuff.
Well, hey, I Googled your name and I saw this giant pig that you guys roasted recently.
Yeah.
What was that about?
Yeah. So we did an RBQ, a Richard Blaze barbecue, because we had to be punny with everything.
Of course.
And we got this whole pig. Actually, we got like 6 whole pigs, and some cajachinas, like classic. Box style, cook a whole chicken. Whole pig. We marinated it in like a key lime mojo, and then just buried it in charcoal and did this whole cookout. It was so much fun.
Is there any left over?
Yeah, I hope not at this point, but we are hoping to do some things like that at OCs, at Oystercatchers. There's a big beach that kind of stretches around the restaurant. We've got this whole deck situation that just reopened. It got totally washed away from the hurricanes, but it's back as of last week.
Good.
And I'm looking forward to doing some really fun stuff out there. We're definitely going to be doing a roasted pig in the near future.
Oh, please let me know.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Actually, please let everyone know, where can people go to stay up to date with any sort of like cool activations that you're doing or menu updates?
Definitely follow us on social media, Oystercatchers on everything. And that's the best way, Facebook, Instagram. We're always going to be posting what we're up to. With kind of this new menu launch and now having the space fully back open post hurricanes, we're definitely planning on some really, really fun things in the near future.
Okay. Here you're a fan of Swordfish too. Want to kind of talk about that a bit?
I'm just a fan of fish in general. Yeah. Like, that is what I love to cook. I was actually a pescatarian for a very long time, so I truly, enjoy seafood above all other meats. And the seafood industry in Florida is so interesting because there's such a diversity available here, but everybody gravitates towards like the same few fishes, and you get all the grouper, mahi, like those sort of things with great fish, don't get me wrong, but like that's all you see, and people don't even realize that, swordfish, you see it, but most of it's not coming from Florida, pretty much every piece of swordfish you've probably eaten has come from deep Pacific waters, flown halfway across the world to get to Florida, but we have swordfish that live right off the coast of like South Florida. They're much smaller fish, so they're probably, I would assume, like less commercially, wanted. It's all about weight, right? But they're incredible. They're half the size of a Pacific swordfish, and the texture is so different. I assume you like swordfish because you ask.
Well, yeah, I was curious because I made swordfish for the first time ever. Like, it's probably my first time ever like grilling or cooking a fish, right? This must have been like 15 years ago at home. And I saw swordfish at Publix. I was like, oh, I've never had swordfish before. It sounds kind of cool. This big, giant, thick cut of swordfish. And it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And I cannot replicate it again. I don't know what I did. I remember soaking it in something, but it came out, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's like one of those fish, if you do it right, it's great. And then if you don't, it is just like a rubber band, right? It gets really chewy, really dry, really tough. And so, with like Pacific swordfish, they usually recommend you serve it like a medium. Like, you don't want to cook it all the way through because it gets tough fast. But with these like smaller Florida swordfish that you can get, at Four Flamingos, our whole thing was that we would coat it in this spice rub, cast iron sear it, so it was really sealing all the juices, and then we bake it at 500 degrees until it was fully cooked through. And that is counter to everything they sell you to do with swordfish, but because of where it was coming from and because it was this smaller, just like inherently more tender fish, it's phenomenal. It's what the whole restaurant's known for.
I gotta try that.
Yeah.
currently craving swordfish.
I know.
And coconut cream pie.
What aren't we craving?
And all the things. I mean, I'm starving. No. Do you ever cook with triple tail?
Yes.
I was gonna
Yeah.
ask for that.
Bring that.
So
Yeah.
that's well, I was gonna say, what's one of the things with like this whole Oyster Catchers revamp has been sourcing more unique, interesting local seafood. We're using, spiny lobster tail from the Keys. We don't use any cold water lobster anymore. It's all spiny lobster. And then with our fishes, we're really trying to diversify and have things that people don't see every day. And triple tail is one of my all-time favorite fish.
Same.
And in the northern, like panhandle-y part of the Gulf Coast, you see it semi-frequently, but I don't know. I mean, I'm still new to Tampa, but to me, like, you don't see it much at all kind of down in
whenever
Central
it's
Florida.
a special on any menu, I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't even look at the rest of the menu. I'm just going to order this.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It is regularly something that we feature.
Okay. All right.
good to
Well,
know.
that's awesome.
Have you ever had sheep's head?
I have.
Yeah, that's another one that we put on there a lot, and I think that's such a fun, unique Florida fish. It's all they eat are crustaceans. They have these. Have you seen a sheep's head before?
I feel like
Yeah.
I
They have like
don't-
human-like teeth. They're
Yeah.
super creepy.
Oh.
They have like a full set of
Yeah.
chompers, and it's because they eat crustaceans,
Mhm.
and that diet like blends to the flavor of the fish. So you get this like sweet, almost like lobstery, shrimpy taste to the fish. And it's a great fish, but how often do you see it in restaurants?
Not
Not.
often. Yeah, my grandfather was a fisherman, and he's still with us. We love you, Artie, but
But he's no longer
he
a fisherman.
just doesn't fish anymore. He's past it, but he lives on the other coast of Florida actually, and so like he used to bring home all of that, you know, and it was just like at the time I was a kid and I definitely took it for granted. Now I'm like, hey, do you think that you could take the fishing pole out and next time I'm visiting and we could go fishing together?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is such a treat when you do see those Florida fish on menus.
I'm glad you asked about the triple tail because she has got me on this triple tail kick. We had
I'm
Fresh
obsessed.
from Florida on the podcast a few weeks ago.
Nice.
And Melissa and the chef were talking about triple tail, and it's like every chef that I run into now that mentions seafood, I'm like, have you had triple tail before? And I was talking to a chef last week who was representing Alaskan seafood,
Okay.
and I asked her about triple tail, and she'd never heard of it.
Yeah.
But she was wondering if it goes by a different name also. Do you know if there's a different name for it? I'm just curious.
Not that I know of, but that is really common.
Okay.
Like different, or there could be a very like similar species, like something in the same family. Like for example, what we call sea bass here and what they call sea bass, in Europe or in South America are completely different things, right? So they might have a different name for it up north, but
Okay.
as far as I'm aware, it's definitely like a warm water fish.
Okay. Is it on the menu right now?
It is. Is it our special of the day? We do a catch every single day
Okay.
that is like only locally sourced. So sometimes we pretty much I gravitate towards triple tail, but we can't get it every single day.
Gotcha.
So I believe we are running it today for sure, but it is
Okay.
it's a constant rotation on what
Yeah.
fish we're having. Like, we want to be true to using locally sourced fish, and that means you can't always get everything every single day.
Okay.
Yeah, when it comes to like fresh only. So
Well, I know she's going to be in Tampa. I think it was either this week or next week. And she was like, if you could find a place that has triple tail, let me know.
let
so
me
I
know.
may connect you guys.
Yeah.
Maybe she can check you guys out and you might have some triple tail. I
For
don't
sure.
know.
I
Yeah.
can definitely do my best to make sure we have it that day.
What's it like sourcing all these fresh ingredients? That's got to be kind of a challenge, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it is a challenge, but it's probably one of my favorite parts of my job. That was one of the really cool things about transferring from, being an Orlando chef to a Tampa chef is a lot of the farms, a lot of the sourcing is the same. We're close enough, right? So I was able to continue to utilize a lot of the connections I've made over the years. But it's so much fun finding a new product in your local area that you didn't know you could get. There's this farm called Shogun Farms just outside of Tampa, and they sell. All they do is farm raised wild boar, and their whole concept is they purchase live poached boar, right? Like boar are super destructive to our local environment. They're invasive. They just ruin farmland and forests and everything, right? So people poach them. So instead of just letting them kill them and throw them away, they will buy them live poached and then farm raise them for like 6 months to a year to make sure that they're happy and healthy and well fed. And then they sell them for wholesale food. And so it is such a cool concept. You know, it's environmentally responsible. You know, you're taking something that would otherwise either be destroying our, you know, our our local environment, or would just be thrown in the trash can, and then turning it into like something that's delicious to eat. And finding that farm was just like kind of a stroke of luck. One day, I had no idea that was even an option, and I was just kind of poking around on the internet trying to find something local, something new that I'd never had before, and ran across them. And so,
did you get to tour it?
I'm planning on going soon. I've only been in the area for a few months, but I used their product at my last restaurant, and I'm planning on, you know, we're on version 1 of the menu at Oystercatchers. I don't remember if I mentioned this already, but we did a like 100% flip, brunch, lunch, and dinner. Every menu item was changed, and so we started small but solid, and we're growing and growing, you know, as the team grows and develops. And we are planning on bringing a pork dish, boar dish, onto the menu in the near future, and definitely going to be touring them soon.
That's exciting. One of the things that Marlon and I always talk about is we want to start shooting at restaurants with chefs, and we would love to highlight you making a dish in the kitchen and really highlight the guest experience. But also, we are dying to go to some farms and spotlight some local purveyors. And Brick Street is another one that I absolutely love.
I love all of our microgreens, all of our lettuces come from Brick Street.
And have you toured it?
I haven't.
You need to go.
I know.
It's all hydroponic. It's amazing.
Yeah, I've heard it's great. A lot of my cooks have been. They went before I came in to the restaurant, but they've all told me how phenomenal it is, and all the guys that work there are just so nice. I can only imagine that it's a really great place to visit.
Everything, it's in shipping containers, right? And so it's cool when you're walking in and out because you can see each, lettuce or little gem or whatever the case may be. It's like they're in different stages of life on every single shelf. And when you walk through and you get the tour, they talk about how they sustain it and the watering cycles and the lighting and all the elements that go into it. And it's so impressive that this is possible in a shipping container. It's like the future of food, you know, in some ways. So it's so cool.
Yeah, I drove past Brick Street actually by chance. I was just kind of tinkering around St. Pete trying to get my bearings straight, and all of a sudden I drove past it and I was like, oh, that must be like a retail store. And I looked it up, like, no, that's the farm. That is Brick Street Farms. And it is like a just hodgepodge of shipping containers right outside downtown St. Pete, you know, like right in the middle of a whole commercial district.
Yeah.
And they're growing some of the best hydroponic lettuces and greens like in this whole area.
Yeah, when I was touring, they were exploring growing basil and seeing how it would go. And I'm always curious if they ended up moving forward with that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they sell full-size basil, but we buy micro basil from them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, they have a whole microgreens room too. And you can see everyone harvesting it off of their little microgreen pad, you know, and packing them for different clients. And it's just like the operation there is really great. And to your point, everyone there is so nice and so happy and really just like believes in the purpose of it. So
isn't there a big hydroponic farm in Orlando? I've toured it. I forgot the name. They actually have multiple locations, and there's one that I believe is on top of a hotel.
Oh gosh, I know what you're talking about, but I've never worked with them. I think they really do more like they exist in a bunch of spaces, but they're pretty small scale. And
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because I know Orange County Public Schools uses them to get their lettuce.
Oh,
So we got
cool.
to go on a tour and film some video, and I just forgot the name. But it just amazes me that you can grow produce pretty much anywhere with hydroponic towers. It's really neat.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hydroponic towers, allow you to grow in all these like urban spaces and then like community gardens too. Like that's such a, I feel like a kind of unsung resource when you live in a city. That's something I was really involved in the past. And it's so cool being able to just, pull up to what was probably just an empty lot before. And there are people growing produce and getting to sustain themselves or sustain their community, from a plot in the middle of a city.
Yeah, so one of my friends, he was an opera singer in New York.
Okay.
And he got into hydroponics just randomly. And he built his own tower on top of his apartment complex in New York City, downtown. Nice. And then from that point on, he started a business called Fork Farms. And you can buy these towers like across the world. They're everywhere now. And it's super cool to see like what you can grow. Like you could literally grow anything. It's wild.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the massive white towers that have all like, the little pots on the side that were trending for quite some time, specifically during COVID.
For sure.
Yeah. I was like, maybe I need a farm and some chickens.
We all had like our farm, like want to be a farmer moments during COVID. Yeah. Like I learned how to like make yogurt and like grow radishes and beans because I was like, I need to be more resilient.
I wish I had a green thumb. I'm trying my best to grow basil, and I have a cucumber plant right now, and it made 1 or 2 cucumbers.
That's exciting.
Was it okay? Is it dying now? Yeah.
The only thing I can grow are peppers. That's it. Well, actually, you know what? I can't take credit for this. My kids, they like to throw produce in the little like farm area that we made at the house, and we have tomatoes growing right now. So for the first time, we have tomatoes that we're going to try that we grow in the backyard, and the kids absolutely are so geeked out about it. Can't wait.
And as you already know, fine ripened tomatoes are a whole different level of good.
Yep.
Yeah, your kids are about to experience that. That's so
blow
cool.
their minds.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Can't wait. So, can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
Because you keep flashing this tattoo in front of my face. I was curious if that has any particular meaning.
Oh, no, they're just
Super cool looking.
My artist likes to call them adornments.
Okay.
Yeah, that's her whole thing is that she does these like really pretty just like body things. And
is that a fish?
Yeah, I saw the fish before.
Okay, so this is the fish that's on your chopstick wrappers.
Oh,
right?
cool.
Yeah, it's like literally exactly from the chopstick
That's
wrapper.
awesome.
Okay,
Yeah,
and the
so-
Italian horn, I see. Represent.
My nonna is from Italy, obviously. My nonna is from Naples. And yeah, the Cornecchio is very much a Neapolitan thing. And so I went a few years ago for the first time. I did the motherland trip. And when I came back, I got this. Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's commemorative.
Yeah.
I have it on a necklace.
It's a good one. I know. Hidden behind the sleeve are a bunch of vegetables.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got herbes de Provence, which is like my favorite blend of herbs.
Yeah.
And asparagus and artichoke and avocado. It's kind of peeking out.
I cannot grow an avocado. We've tried that one.
They're tough.
Yeah.
And they take like so many years to be able to be the point where you can actually have fruit off of it.
Either the squirrels get it or the dog gets it or something gets it, and they never grow.
It's hard to grow things. I mean, Florida too. It's hard to grow. I grew up in upstate New York, and so like we would just like throw watermelon seeds out, on the side of the house, and then before we knew it, like we would have 17 watermelons growing all along the side of the house, and it was almost like like a maintenance kind of carefree moment.
Yeah.
And it was happening. But here it's tough, it's very hot, it's sunny, and you need to be really intentional about when you're planting things and how often you're watering it. And yeah, we had daikon radishes growing on the side of our house for a bit, and it was really cool. But we had so many moments where we were like, are the radishes getting enough water? They're wilting. They're not okay. And then it's like, when do you know how to pick them? And there's all those things. Thank God for Google.
Yeah, for real. No, Florida's tough. Because it's so hot, there's so many pests. I think that's the biggest thing. Like that, I know that I've struggled with growing produce in Florida is that everything is so prone to like aphids and I don't know, like every kind of mite and must that you can imagine.
Yep.
And they're just so hard. They thrive in the warmth, you know, like warm, wet, you know, and so you hit that like typical Central Florida like rainy season, and then everything's just covered in bugs.
Yeah, those little white flies were the bane of my existence. I tried to grow tomatoes last season and they just got devoured by those flies. I sprayed everything. I'm like, I'm not a Home Depot woman, but I will go to Home Depot and buy the things.
Yeah.
And I did, and I couldn't save them.
I don't know how many times I have like purchased living ladybugs to be like, please, like release them and try to let nature do its thing, and they are no match.
Yeah, everyone says neem oil is the secret ingredient to getting all them away, but I'm like, I think we need something stronger here. Nothing is working,
But
but
like nuke them.
yeah.
I've been getting these like weird, they look like a insect from outer space growing on my Scotch bonnet peppers at home, but they have like these giant black legs and they're this bright orange color.
Yeah.
What are those? They look dangerous.
Wait.
I'm pretty sure that those are baby stink bugs. And
Really?
yeah, I believe so. And they will eat your plants.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, they eat the
Yeah.
heck out of them.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
in that case, don't step on them.
Yeah, they're big though.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain. I've dealt with those before, and I want to say that they are like they molt later and become like what you think of as a stink
Interesting.
bug, but when they're babies, they eat the loving tar out of anything.
Yeah, I hate those things.
Yeah, they're
with
the
a
worst.
passion.
Highly unacceptable,
No,
guys.
I know.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
definitely like wiped out. I was growing Japanese eggplant. There's one of my all-time favorite dishes that my nonna makes is this like pickled eggplant, and it's very much like a specialized like regional Italian thing. You grill eggplant and then just pack it with oil and vinegar and raw garlic and oregano, and then just sit it on your counter for like a week, and it's like kind of like Italian baba ganoush almost.
Okay.
It is so good, and you have to make it from scratch. So like it's not something you can buy. And so I was determined. I was like, I'm gonna grow my eggplant to make with the specific intention of making this dish. And they were so close to being ready, and those bugs like wiped out the entire crop, and I was so upset.
No.
That's so sad because you grow it and you
Yeah.
nurture it. It's your
You put this
baby,
love
and then
into
you're
it.
like, no,
Yeah.
I've lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's sad. I'm sorry. Are you gonna try to make it again?
Probably. I gotta find somewhere to garden here in Tampa.
Yes, that is key for sure. I don't know if we have any community gardens that are sticking out to me. I know Meacham Urban Farms is a cool spot to check out.
They're cool. I've been over there.
And I went last weekend and they just got in 110 baby chicks. And they were like flabbergasted because usually, when you order chicks, not a lot of them make it. And, all of the nuances of having a chicken that I don't know anything about. So I'm not going to speak to that. But they were like, yeah, we have them all. And we're excited to start offering eggs when they grow up. And yeah, it's great.
I
So
wasn't sure if they were like selling the chicks or if they were like raising them.
If
So
they were selling the chicks, I would have been in trouble.
I was gonna say I would have walked out of there with a baby chicken. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have that much self control.
Yep. No, same.
They're-
What was that old tractor store? This is like really the upstate New York and me is coming out right now. There is it's like a tractor supply store.
Yeah. Chapter Supply Co.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And every Easter they used to have baby chicks and baby ducks, and I used to beg my mom to get me one every year. I don't know why we were in that store. Don't ask me. No idea. But yeah, they're so cute.
They are so cute.
They are. And now eggs are expensive. So
Yes, they are. We have a member on our team. She does a lot of our social media marketing, and she lives on a farm.
Nice.
So every time she comes to the office, she brings eggs, and I love it when she comes to the office. So she lives all the way, Polk
Okay.
area.
Cassie?
So, no, Rachel. Yeah. But like, I will intentionally ask her, sorry, Rachel, to come to the office just because I know she's gonna bring eggs.
You can't let her know your secret.
Yeah,
That's
she's gonna
fine.
come for you
That's
now.
I know,
fine.
right? Like, you're gonna get less eggs. No, I have one of our servers has chickens, and she will like semi-regularly grace us all with eggs. And I was joking with her. I was like, man, at this rate, like you could probably quit being a server and make more money selling your eggs. Like because it is
crazy.
insane.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. I saw in Manhattan they were selling happy eggs for $17.99.
Oh my
$17.99.
insane.
Ridiculous.
More than $1 per egg.
That's so ridiculous.
Like,
And I eat a lot of eggs. Like every morning, I want to have eggs for breakfast.
Same.
Yeah.
I was making carbonara at home recently, and you know, you use part whole eggs, part egg yolks. So I'm sitting there like looking at these egg whites I have left over, and I was like, man, on like in the like before times, I would have definitely thrown these egg whites away. But now I was
Not
like, that is
anymore.
money. Like I cannot just pour that down the drain.
Yeah, for real. It's true.
Yeah, no, we need to keep hold of those very precious eggs. It's true.
Well, Chef, we have a question that we ask every guest, and I kind of want to mix it up. I've not told Melissa about this.
Oh, yeah, this is a massive surprise, but now I'm excited.
It's along the same lines.
Okay.
So we used to ask, like, if you could have one last dish to eat, what would it be? Like your last meal, right? But my question is, if you could prepare one more meal, what would it be?
Ooh.
It
Describe
can't
it.
have eggs in it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Man, what if I could prepare?
Yeah. What is your
one
favorite
last-
dish to make?
That's a good question.
It is, yeah. Like if I
I'm
had to
on
make,
fire today.
Hey.
I know, right? Okay, so I feel like my go-to answer when people ask me what my favorite thing to make is always curry, right?
What kind of curry?
Period. Curry, period.
Okay.
Like
Alright.
I any
Okay.
kind. So I used to work for a Thai chef.
Okay.
She taught me some great stuff, and then I got really into Indian cuisine and started learning how to like make my own curries.
Okay. Have you ever
there's-
made like Jamaican style curry?
I have, but I'm not like super
Okay.
experienced. But I've done it like once or twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Jamaican, so
Okay.
I'm slightly biased to Jamaican curry.
Heard.
Although I love all the other types of curry. My wife will not let me make curry at home, though. It drives me crazy.
Oh,
at
that's
least not when she's
unfortunate.
there.
I do make a mean Jamaican style oxtail.
Oh, man. We need to be friends.
I know.
like-
Come on, come out to the restaurant. But oh gosh, I feel like that's usually my answer. But if I were to be preparing food for friends, you know, and that's kind of what I think of when you say that, right?
Mhm.
Like what would you want to make for like the people you love? I would probably make my family does a specific like combination of foods for Easter, and for some reason that is just like one of the meals that has the most nostalgia for me, and I make it every year for my friends. You know, we do a big get together in the springtime, and so it's nothing super fancy, but it's white lasagna, like it's a good bechamel, good salami, like all from scratch. Very much how my nonna makes it. It is that aforementioned eggplant, melanzane sotto olio, and then you have various side dishes, broccoli rabe, things like that, and then we finish with pastita, and pastita is a wheat berry pie. It's kind of like ricotta pie. Have you ever had ricotta pie?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Have you had pastita though?
I have.
Okay.
Ricotta pie is my mom's jam. It's
Yeah.
like that would be her death row meal. Like she would, she's made it like 600 times. But yes, and I was actually waiting for you to say Easter pie because
It's
one
and
the
the same.
savory one.
Oh, the savory one,
The
yeah.
savory one is like my cousin's great uncle on the other side of their family. So kind of my uncle, kind of not. He makes one every year for Easter, and it's like my favorite thing on the planet.
Yeah. And every part of Italy has like a different version, right? So, but the version that we do is these cooked wheat berries, ricotta, lemon juice, and then something called Flor de Mille. It's kind of like orange blossom water, but it means 1,000 flowers. So it's orange and jasmine and rose and like every edible flower you can imagine combined into this like magical floral elixir. And it is just it's just like one of the most nostalgic flavors for me, and no one's ever had it no one, I have to, it's always a struggle to find this ingredient. And I love making that for the people that I love.
I love that.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making the drive to come chat with us. I mean, I can't wait to go to your restaurant.
Yes.
And check it out.
And I cannot wait for Sunday brunch to be happening at Oystercatchers once again.
Yeah, teaser, right? Spoiler alert. Yeah, we are, like I said, we have truly redone breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like everything is new, everything is refreshed, and that includes the brunch. So for those who know, like Oystercatchers brunch is what that restaurant was known for, right?
It's the best.
Like it is. Every time I walk the floor of the restaurant, at least one person asks me, like, when are you bringing back the brunch?
Mm-hmm.
And so for version 1, we've really just put a lot of love and soul into the a la carte brunch menu. And so just really revamped it. And honestly, it's killer. I never dine at the restaurants I work for, and I went in for brunch the other day. And
See,
so
speaks volumes.
like that never happens. We are making this French toast with Sullivan Street's brioche, which is the best brioche on earth, and it's like local citrus and coconut infused, like tres leches dip on just like I said, the most incredible brioche, and then fresh citrus supremes on top. It's insane. I could eat it every single day. It will be the death of me. But so version 1 was getting like the brunch menu back up and just making it killer. But we're working really hard on doing a once a month brunch buffet. That is like going back to the old model, going back.
The OG best
oh
brunch
yeah, like
in
pre-COVID.
Tampa.
That is everybody knew this restaurant for the brunch buffet. And so we're gonna start with once a month. Kind of fine-tuning the details on that. We're definitely doing one for Easter. We're definitely doing one for Mother's Day. And then after that, we're going to go into once a month and see how the community takes to it. Like, it's like I said, Tampa's a different market than it was, even 5 years ago when I think around when they stopped doing the brunch in the old form. And so we're going to see how the community takes to it. And if it takes off like I'm hoping it will, we will definitely be continuing to grow that program. So I hope people are as excited as we are about it.
Yeah. So one more time, where can people find you and then find the restaurant so they can make their plan to go to Sunday brunch?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me at Oystercatchers Restaurant. We are inside or on property of the Grand Tampa Hyatt. It is the freestanding, on the far side of the property, right on the water. Got a beautiful beach, beautiful pool. It is this incredible little complex. And so, yeah, you can find us right there, right by the bridge to oh my gosh, Clearwater.
Courtney Campbell, yeah.
Yeah, Courtney Campbell. You can tell that I haven't lived here long, right? But right by the bridge to Clearwater. And yeah, we're open 7 days a week and doing some really fun, amazing food. So come check us out.
Well,
check her out.
Yes, can't wait to go. Thank you again so much for coming on. Your food is beautiful. This conversation was awesome.
Thank you.
We'll be stopping by to pay you a visit.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
You have plans on Sunday?
And not anymore. Not anymore.
Clearing the schedules. All right. Well, thank you everybody out there for watching.
Ciao.